Hey, welcome back to Found in AI. I'm Cassie Clark, an AI search visibility consultant and the host of the show where we talk about GEO, AEO, and what all of this means so you don't get lost in this new wave of user search behavior. Today is Thursday, August 20th, and before we get into the week, I want to apologize for the lack of a Tuesday episode this week. I had a minor emergency that kind of just delayed podcast production, and it was one of those you have to take care of this now kind of things, like it couldn't wait. You know, life happens. I'm fine. Everything is fine. It was just one of those things, and I didn't think you'd be too terribly mad about missing an episode, although I was kind of mad about not getting it out, but that's a different story. Anyway, this week we have a little bit of everything. There's a citation drop off, an update mystery, and a mapping tool that really no one asked for, but we're probably all going to be using eventually. So let's just get into it. Okay, let's just start with the big one. If you've been on LinkedIn the last couple of days, you have seen this already. PromptWatch has been tracking Reddit's share of ChatGPT Search citations daily since early July. And from July 18th through August 7th, Reddit was sitting at a pretty steady average, about 3.8% of citations. You know, it's a significant share for a single domain. Then on August 14th, it just fell off a cliff. Not a slide, but an actual plummet. By the 14th through the 17th, Reddit's average citation share dropped to 0.52%, as an 86% relative drop in just 4 days. Now, PromptWatch is being really careful here, and we probably should be as well. They're calling this a what happened, not a why it happened. They do flag August 8th, that's the same day ChatGPT changed its query fanout behavior, as a point where Reddit's share first started sliding before the sharper drop 6 days later. And they're honest that a data collection issue can't be fully rolled out, but the shape of this is not so much noise, like we really need to be looking at it. Here's what makes it more interesting though. Reddit's citation share isn't just falling in ChatGPT, but my cat just fell off my lap. It's also declining in Google AI overviews in AI mode, but it looks a little bit different for each one. For example, for ChatGPT Search, it was a cliff. It was steady and then an 86% relative drop within days. For Google AI overviews, it was a slow slide. Still a slow slide. It was about an 11% relative decline and not a single sharp just plummet like you were seeing with ChatGPT. And then with Google AI mode, it's gradual, about a 30% relative decline that was spread across weeks. If this were purely a Reddit content got worse problem, we'd expect to see the same pattern everywhere, but we're not. It's different engines, different citation behaviors with the same source domain. That contrast is honestly the more interesting finding than the 86% number itself. Now, there is some context worth knowing on the Google side, and it's going to lead into some speculating on my part, but here we go. Back on July 30th, Reddit CEO told investors that 10 blue links had driven real value for the search ecosystem, and that AI overviews hadn't made a similar impact yet. Reddit stock dropped over 11% on that call despite beating earnings, and there's reporting that Reddit is reconsidering its relationship with Google entirely, including that licensing deal. Google pushed back on August 5th, told The Verge that Reddit gets, quote, no special preference, end quote, in search or in AI features, and pointed to Reddit's own quality issues, like that May core update, the June spam update, as a more likely explanation for any traffic decline. Now, to be really clear here about what we don't know, there's no public confirmation of anything specific happening between Reddit and OpenAI. So I'm not going to pretend that I know more than the data shows. My read on it, and again, this is a read, not a fact, is that Reddit's managing two things at once right now. There's public friction with Google over referral traffic and an ongoing effort to filter out marketer spam and astroturfing on the platform itself. If Reddit is cracking down on what surface is, then a citation shift on the AI side would not be shocking. But again, that is pure speculation. That is not a finding. Here's what isn't speculation though. If your entire GEO strategy leaned on Reddit as a citation source, you've probably watched or you will be watching almost 90% of that channel disappear in the next couple of days if it hasn't already. That's without warning, and that's without any control over the cause. That's kind of the lesson here in all of this. It's not that Reddit is unreliable now, it's just that the citation strategy built on one platform was always exposed to this. Any single source can shift overnight for reasons completely outside of your control. This is the authority principle in the FSA framework that I talk about, and it's playing out in real time here. Your entity authority cannot be concentrated in one place. That is not real authority. It's a single point of failure. So the question that we need to think about is, if your citation footprint disappeared from one platform overnight, would you even notice before a client did or before your boss did? Okay, that's enough about Reddit. Let's move on to our second story. It is the third spam update Google has dropped this year. This one hit August 18th around 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, according to that status dashboard. It's a global rollout, all languages, and this is consistent with the last couple of times. No blog posts, no new spam policy types announced. It's just the same rules with better detection. That's kind of been the pattern all year long. A few days before this rolled out, a bunch of the rank trackers like AccuRanker, Mostcast, SEMrush, the whole gang, were already showing some kind of wonkiness in the data, and naturally everyone's first instinct is, oh, that's the update starting early. But then, John Mueller shut that down yesterday morning. Someone asked him point blank why updates seem to start rolling out 3 to 5 days before Google actually says anything about it. His answer, and I'm going to read this word for word, is, we don't roll them out beforehand. We try to get the announcement as close as possible to the actual button pushing. So whatever wonkiness that you saw last week, it's not this update. Something else was likely moving, maybe a smaller unannounced core update, which Google does run without telling anyone pretty regularly, so that's not new. But it's also not the same thing as the August spam update, even though the timing makes it feel that way. I think it's also worth mentioning today because I see this pattern a lot in this space. Someone sees a ranking movement and an update gets announced 2 days later, and then the two kind of get meshed together in everyone's head as the cause and effect. Sometimes they are related, sometimes they're not, but if we're thinking about it that way, that means we might be chasing the wrong things to fix. And if you're already stretched thin on AI visibility work, that's time you don't really have to waste. So for now, no new policies, no officially confirmed target, so let's not assume that last week's mess was the update just warming up. Just watch your own data as the rollout finishes over the next few days and then go from there. Okay, one quick update to close us out. Google rolled out a new interactive Explore Maps and Trends along with a more granular regional breakdown. This builds on the Gemini integration that landed in Trends earlier this year. The pitch from Google is clearer data storytelling. You can spot regional trends faster, drill down geographically without exporting all of that into a spreadsheet and then just doing it yourself. This is rolling out gradually, so not everyone has it yet. There's really nothing revolutionary here, but if you're doing any regional content strategy, or maybe even trying to spot where a topic is heating up before it's obvious nationally, it's worth keeping your eye on once it hits your account. Okay, so that's it for this week. We had a citation cliff that no one's fully explained yet, a reminder not to blame the wrong update for last week's messiness in your reports, and a small but useful upgrade to a tool a lot of us already use. If this episode helped you make sense of anything, hit subscribe, and I'd love if you would leave a review. And if you're trying to figure out how concentrated your own AI citation footprint is across ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, the whole Google gang, head over to CassieClarkMarketing.com and get started with your AI search visibility audit. I'm Cassie Clark. I will see you on Tuesday for real this time. Until then, stay visible.